Hey guys, Jarek here, and today we're going to be looking at the Tactical Force Mach 11. The Tactical Force Mach 11 comes in a prison of a plastic casing. Whoever designed this plastic wrap should be shot. This is by far my least favorite thing to get my airsoft products in. I absolutely hate this style of case. Within the case you'll find a paper covered with warranty information since this gun is redistributed by Umarex. You'll also find a surprisingly good instruction manual. And of course you get the Tactical Force Mach 11. This Mach 11 is actually a complete clone of the Maruzen Mach 11. Parts are interchangeable, including the stock and the magazine. The magazine is especially interesting since this gun comes with a CO2 magazine and the Maruzen Mach 11 runs off green gas. I just find it very amusing that a gun that comes with a CO2 magazine is compatible with green gas and propane mags. But again, to reiterate, this gun is completely compatible with Maruzen parts. However, just to make this very clear, this gun is not compatible with KWA parts. This includes KWA stocks, will not work on this gun. Since this is a Maruzen clone, it has all the regular Mach 11 features, including the safety on the trigger guard that locks the trigger. Select the switch on the left hand side of the gun. This does not click into place, but it works perfectly fine. The stock release button on the back of the gun. The mag release on the bottom of the grip. And this gun even has the regular Mach 11 threading, so if you'd like to add a Mach 11 suppressor, you can go ahead and do so. The sights are your regular Mach 11 sights. I've never really been too fond of the Mach 11 sights. They're kind of too vague to use, but let's be honest. You have a gun shooting 1500 rounds per minute, who's really going to be using the sights that much anyway? Of course, being a Mach 11, this gun fires from an open bolt. That means the bolt is open, and when you pull the trigger, it closes and fires and opens up again. Since this gun is based off the Maruzen Mach 11 design and not the KWA Mach 11 design, this gun does not stop firing when you run out of BBs. This is a good and a bad thing. It means that you can't ruin the piston by inserting the magazine before opening the bolt, but at the same time it means you're going to waste some gas before you realize that you're actually out of BBs. The quality of this gun is only slightly below average, but considering the price of this gun only being $90, it's to be expected. The vast majority of the gun is made of plastic and there's a few really bad seam lines on it. With that said, the parts that need to be metal are metal. This includes the trigger, the safety, the sling mount, the front sight, the mag release, portion of the mag, the stock release button, and the bolt is one gigantic slab of metal. I don't think you need to worry about this gun breaking on itself while you're firing it, but maybe if you fall on it hard enough, you might break something. With that said, it's not too much of a concern. The magazine itself is interesting. Most of it is made of plastic, but the part that actually retains the gas itself is made of metal. The CO2 comes up to that split you see in the magazine, and then the actual CO2 is held in the upper portion of the mag. This means you do not have to worry about the mag leaking on you because it's plastic. It is actually metal where it needs to be. With that said, if you absolutely need more magazines or you're having issues with the magazine that you already have, you can pick up Maruzen magazines and they do work in this gun. Maruzen magazines also look a lot higher quality and just simply make your gun look better. Gassing and loading up the magazine the gun comes with is actually very simple. To load in the CO2, simply unscrew the bottom of the mag, drop in your 12-gram cartridge, and screw it back in until you hear it start to hiss. Don't be afraid to use a little bit of force here. You'll need to actually puncture the CO2 cartridge. With the tool they provide, loading up the 50-round magazine is very simple. What I ended up doing is using my regular speed loader to load it up halfway, then jamming the rest of the BBs in, and that will give you a fully loaded 50-round magazine. The gas consumption on this gun is okay. It could be a little bit better, but it could be worse. You usually get about 2 50-round magazines out with one CO2 cartridge if you're doing full auto bursts. That's 100 rounds out with one CO2 cartridge, so it's not horrible, but like I said, it could be a little bit better. Although this gun does have a very high rate of fire, so it's kind of expected. When I chronoed this gun using CO2 and 0.2 gram BBs, I found that it was averaging about 270 feet per second. Given the role of a Mach 11, which is CQB or a sidearm for your main gun, that's a decent velocity and you really don't want it shooting much harder. When I tested the rate of fire on this gun, I found that it was averaging just over 1500 rounds per minute. That makes this edge out the T77 and become the third fastest gun I have chronoed. The second fastest being KWA's NS2 Mach 11 shooting at 1700 rounds per minute, and the fastest being Wells G55 shooting at 2000 rounds per minute. With the velocity and rate of fire that it has, we know this gun is going to be an absolute beast in CQB, so I immediately took it back to 100 feet and shot at the man-sized target. This target proved to be not much of an issue. On semi-automatic, I hit it every single time. However, on full auto, the spray and pray factor is really going to be a little bit of an issue if you're trying to hit something at range. Next, I decided to shoot at the headshot target still at 100 feet away. As you might have noticed, I added some 22 targets just to see how really consistent some of these guns can be, but with the Mac 11 that's not really going to mean a whole lot. When shooting at the headshot target at 100 feet away, on semi-automatic, it's not going to be too consistent of a shot. You maybe will get it 5 times out of 10. When you go full auto, you hit it every single time, but that's because you're putting so many BBs downrange at one time. At this point, I had already assessed that 100 feet is going to be the max effective range for this gun, but out of burning curiosity, I took it back to 150 feet just to see if it could actually reach that far. Surprisingly enough, it can reach that far, but you're going to have to lob BBs to get there. It's not going to be a consistent shot, but if you're in a pinch, you can do it. With that said, it's going to be the true definition of spray and pray if you actually get that shot. Final conclusion of this gun. For under $100, you get a CO2 gas blowback full Maruzen clone that's accurately effective up to 100 feet away and has a rate of fire of 1500 rounds per minute. If you're looking around for a next backup for your primary, a primary for CQB, or you're just on a tight budget, this is a gun you might want to look into. It's definitely a case where you get a little bit more than what you paid for. This is a great little piece to pick up. That about sums up my review of the Tactical Force Mac 11. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys next time. Hey, I'm running out of ammo with my MP7, that's bad.
I picked up the Cobra.
It's good. Move! Get out of my way, you fucking idiot! Look at this moron! I can't move! God!
Stop breaking games!
He's just running back and forth on the stairs like an idiot. You want to shoot one of these?
How much kick does it have?
A bit.
More than your shotgun?
No, but same.
Okay.
I do.
I got it.
Have you shot it yet?